Thank you for being here. Have you ever listened to any Bad Bunny music before yesterday?
Yes, I have.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
And do you think on principle we shouldn't forget Bad Bunny, his politics, whatever? Do you think on principle we shouldn't have someone performing not in English at the Super Bowl? Do you think that by itself is a bad thing?
No, no. I think any language at the Super Bowl. It's a 150 million audience. Why not?
Okay. All right. Mary Margaret, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Do you guys know each other?
We do.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here as well. Mary Margaret, before yesterday, had you ever listened to any Bad Bunny music?
I had not, no.
Had not. And just on principle, do you think somebody performing in a language besides English at the Super Bowl is a bad thing just by itself?
I think performing exclusively in Spanish is a little ridiculous when we have such a large English speaking population. I think if you happen to perform a song that's in Spanish at the Super Bowl, that's one thing, but exclusively in Spanish, that's pretty different.
Bad Bunny, it's pretty clear from our opening conversation that you two are on opposite sides of this. And I think I understand both sides, and I side more with the embassy on this because look, the NFL has a massive problem with Hispanics. Hispanics spend a fortune on sports in this country, and they don't at the NFL. And Bad Bunny is the most popular artist in the world and hugely popular in the United States. And if you don't want to watch the halftime show, take a break. For me, it's a great time. I watched it, but I like watching the commercials and I like watching a game. And I'm a 60-year-old man, so I need a break during the game. So luckily, there was other parts of the halftime I felt I could skip. My point is, I don't understand the anger about this. The NFL is a private company. It's not a government utility. It's owned by a private group of people, and they wanted to have Bad Bunny for business purposes. So again, I understand the argument of those who thought this was an abomination, but I don't agree with it. And I also, again, I'm a little prejudiced as a TV producer. It was brilliant television. It was just so well produced, make me crazy. So let's listen to a few people discussing this with passion. First of all, you don't need to be Karnak to know how the ladies on The View felt about Mr. Bunny's performance. Here's some of what they said. Number 13, please.
Have to understand or speak Spanish to feel the joy and to feel the unity and the message of inclusivity that was there.
Yeah.
Of course, I've been going to Puerto Rico since I was a little kid, since my mother is from there. And it was such an homage to the island, La Isla del Encanto. Yeah. It was so beautiful to see the sugarcane in Puerto Rico, to see the pava hat. And, people kept on asking me, like, what is this? What were you wearing on Friday? This hat used to be worn by farmers in Puerto Rico, right, working the sugarcane fields.
Let me just say this, and again, ladies, I'm going to bring you in a second, but I praised Mr. Bunny this morning. I call him Mr. Bunny because I don't know him personally. I praised Mr. Bunny this morning because it was highly political, but in a subversive way, right? The 5-year-old boy, it's talking about America, but not meaning the United States, showing his Grammy speech on the video. Like, he was very clever saying, I'm not going to piss the NFL off by doing political. But one reason why people on the right are upset, besides the fact that he's saying in Spanish, is because the dominant media is covering this like, oh, joy, wonderful, nothing political at all about it, which isn't true. All right, to cue you ladies up, here are your seconds, here are your backups, here are your doppelgangers. I give you Piers versus Meghan.
To get up there and perform the whole show in Spanish is a middle finger to the rest of America. Who gives a damn that we have 40 million Spanish speakers in the United States? We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country. We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
Okay, what is the national language, officially the national language of the United States of America?
I mean, English. and there's been a push
No,
for
no,
many years
Hang
to
on,
make it
no,
to make
no.
it an official
You don't have one.
documented thing.
You don't have one.
If
Right,
you
so
would have
you-
let me
the
finish
truth
my
is-
comment,
Well,
I would
you-
have pointed
you
that
don't
out. That
actually
people have
have
been
an
pushing
official
to make it
language.
official.
Okay,
All right,
so
now let
you're
me tell
trying to make
something.
official.
This attitude that
Yeah, but
you have right here is why you in Great Britain have lost your culture. You ceded your culture to a bunch of radical Muslims who came in and took over, and now it's gone. We're not allowing that here. Whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Muslim, it's not happening in the United States of America. That's why President Trump was elected. And whether it's Bad Bunny, who is American but refuses to speak English in his performances, or anybody else, we have to keep the Super Bowl, which is a quintessential American event. Football, that kind of football, is ours. They call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially American. Not Spanish, not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
Mary Margaret.
Well, look, I think we should probably have some hamburgers and hot dogs there too. Those are pretty quintessentially American. But look, I agree with a lot of what Megan just said there. It made me very, very annoyed to see how all of this played out. And for one of my reasons is what you actually just said, Mark, is that the NFL was reaching out to an audience that is not their actual audience. They were catering to a crowd that is not their audience. They were looking for new voices, new viewers, instead of focusing on the ones they already had.
But I'm sorry, I want you to keep going, but I just want to annotate that one point. I believe they weren't doing it, though, to be politically correct. They were doing it as a business decision.
I don't care. I really don't.
But it's their business. Their
But at
private
the
business.
same time, Mark, I'm talking about their business that they already have. The people who love the NFL, the people like my dad and my brothers who have watched them their entire lives. They're so excited to watch the Patriots in the Super Bowl. We're all from Massachusetts, and they sit down to watch it. And not only has it become politicized, because whether or not the NFL picked him as a political move, which I believe they did, let's just say they didn't, it's still an inherently political move because Bad Bunny hates ICE and he's spoken out against ICE. He has incredibly sexually degenerate lyrics. I understand that he modified some of them for the Super Bowl, but at the end of the day, it's still very degenerate content we're talking about. And if you don't believe me, you should look them up because they're disgusting. And at the same time, the president pointed out that there was a lot of interesting dancing. And, you know, I wouldn't let my youngest brother watch a Super Bowl halftime show, even if it wasn't Bad Bunny. I think you're going to get some interesting dancing regardless. But look, we're talking about a Super Bowl halftime show for NFL fans. And the NFL should get wise and not be trying to cater to people who aren't in their fan base and instead focus on the people that you're already losing. You're politicizing the thing that American men love more than almost anything else. American women too, I'd argue. So stop doing that. Let people enjoy football. Have a great American singer up there, or not American, but someone who isn't going to disrespect the United States of America, because that's what the NFL and the Super Bowl should be all about. And unfortunately, it wasn't last night.
All right, I want to show you one more person, and I want you to comment on what Mary Margaret said and overall. Do you know Sage Steele? You ever met her?
Love Sage.
Yeah, she's one of the nicest people I know. I think she doesn't agree with you on this, though. Here's Sage Steele on Fox Today, number 15.
It is not the first language of the United States of America. Unfortunately, President Trump had to make that very clear by signing an executive order a year ago. Like, that's comical. The only thing I agree with Piers there on is the creativity. I did think it was super creative, and those were actual people. I didn't know that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, this is a celebration of us and of our country. That does not mean we are racist. I see that out there all over social media. If you didn't like this, then you're racist. Just stop playing the race card. No, it is that it's being shoved down our throats. And I guarantee you, this wouldn't happen on a national stage in any other country where they intentionally bring someone in who is choosing to say, I don't care. I don't care about the demographic of what this is. So this isn't on Bad Bunny. This is on the NFL and who they choose to do business with, who are making these decisions. But it was intentional, and I love that Turning Point's going to keep doing what they're doing. Imagine, as Andrew said, having an entire year to plan for this. But it's unfortunate, because even if he was speaking and preaching peace and love, who knew? Not the demographic of football.
Yeah. The other 300 million people who didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, Missy, please comment at whatever length you want.
This from two parts: political, cultural and politics intersect, and also business. The NFL is a business, and the Super Bowl is one of its biggest profit makers. And the Super Bowl supersedes anybody who is just a fan of the NFL. If you do not traditionally watch football, you watch the NFL. It's the same as if you don't go to church, you go to church on Easter. There are just those days where everybody locks in. The NFL knows that. So who do they pick? They pick the person who is number one on Spotify as an artist in the United States. They also, at the same time, are expanding internationally. We know that a lot of teams have gone overseas to play sports in other countries, and not just the expats are coming to watch that. I think that Roger Goodell and the NFL are looking beyond the borders of the United States, and they're thinking about, how do I make this a global sport that maybe is one day on par with the World Cup, but I think unites people internationally. And second, I think people are getting a little bit tired of everything having to be a culture war. Look, Bad Bunny had a total opportunity to do something that was very ice out, to do something that was overtly political. He could have made that little 5-year-old boy that the internet egregiously thought was Liam. He could have actually taken that little boy that had been taken by ICE in Minnesota and put him in the show. He didn't do any of that. In fact, if anything, he said, God bless America. He espoused traditional values by having an actual heterosexual couple get married at a wedding. And he waved the American flag. I just don't know what else people want in a country where Korean pop bands are some of the top producing artists. And I've never been to a K-pop show, but I've listened to it through my little cousins, and it's nothing but Korean. I just feel like this is just something that was a business decision that wide range broad appeal. And also the alternative was not that interesting or good. Look, if Turning Point had gotten somebody like Carrie Underwood, then I'd say, okay, now they're competing on par. But the artists that they pick also were underwhelming. You had artists that I would believe are traditionally conservative, like a Carrie Underwood, that actually performed at a party at the Super Bowl. So they couldn't even pull what I believe are high value conservative figures for Turning Point. So to me, it just felt like a lot of hoopla about nothing, especially at a time where we're going into midterms. And you have a president that did record numbers with Hispanics. So why all this negative backlash to this huge artist that a lot of Hispanics and Latino voters, which we're all going to need no matter what side you're on, really respect and love?
Really quickly, I mean, we're talking about, people are getting tired of pulling things into the culture wars. But again, I would argue that the NFL has brought everyone into the culture wars by making everything so political. And I think there's a lot of people who were watching the Super Bowl last night that would have loved to not be part of any of that. They would have loved, for example, to have Carrie Underwood there singing and doing a great, phenomenal job. Someone like Shakira, who we had a few years ago, who actually didn't sing exclusively in Spanish, if I remember correctly, and was a huge hit and didn't politicize it. And it was a blast. So and then the final thing I would say is, I know you mentioned that little boy who was featured in the show. Yes, that seemed like an overtly political dig. And no, he wasn't taken by ICE, as we know, and we've talked about many times. That little kid was helped by ICE because his parent fled. So all of this is at the end of the day, I think, frustrating for NFL viewers who wanted to enjoy a good football game last night. And I think most people would prefer if this was not politicized at all. And final point, I know that Turning Point show had, I believe, 5 million viewers last night. So while it might not have been specifically your cup of tea or Mark's cup of tea, clearly there was a huge swath of people that enjoyed it.
Margaret, do you listen to Kid Rock? I need to know the audience for Kid Rock. I think that's my confusion, is he was the headliner, and I just,
Well,
I'm not a part of the
I don't listen to Bad Bunny. That's all I know.
They only had a few weeks to put it together, and I will say, Mary Margaret, if you want everybody to go read the off-color lyrics of Bad Bunny, you'll have to do the same for Kid Rock, because he's not G or PG either.
Oh, Bad Bunny is worse. Are you serious? This Bad Bunny.
I actually think Kendrick and SZA that did it last year. I'm like, you want to talk about lyrics? I mean,
okay, here's what we're going to do. First of all, I'm just going to stop for a moment and pay homage to you too, because that conversation was right in the spirit of this platform. I watched a lot of conversations like this elsewhere today, and this was the best one because you both were spirited and principled and speaking for tens of millions, but also civil. Thank you both. Cozy Earth will give you 20% off everything on the site. Now's the time. If you've never tried the products, the pants, the sheets, the towels, now's the time to give them a try and see what all the fuss is about. Why are so many of your fellow members of the two-way community so excited about their Cozy Earth products? 20% off. Go to cozyearth.com, promo code 2way. Buy some gifts for folks. Buy stuff for yourself. The Baja bedding set, 20% off. The Luxe bath towels, 20% off. The Bubble Cuddle blanket, yes, 20% off. And the pants, all available to you now. 20% off. Go to cozyearth.com, promo code 2way for 20% off. Refresh your routines with comfort that makes every day feel like a new year. If I were you and you haven't bought anything yet, I just go on and buy the thing that looks best to you. It could be the bubble cuddle blanket. It could also be a nice pair of pants, whatever it is. And you'll see there's something about the material. There's something about the softest viscose made from bamboo that's different than anything you own now in any of those categories, towel sheets, pants, or shirts. CozyEarth.com, promo code 2way. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two-Way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.